Welcome back to another episode of Baseball for Maniacs. The topic of this episode is going to be Phillies looking to make some lineup changes. Rob Thompson alluded to that post game in San Francisco on Wednesday, and I'll go through what I think the Phillies are going to do. I'll also go through with my ideal lineup because it differs from what I believe Rob Thompson will do. But before I get into this episode, the lineup construction doesn't really matter. And I know baseball fans are going to gripe when they hear that, but it's just the case, right? It's just true because if your hitters don't perform, doesn't matter if they're batting 1, 2, 3, 9, 8, 7, it really doesn't matter. But sometimes people feel more comfortable in certain spots that could also help them bring out the best. Who knows? It's just like this offense in totality has been terrible to where it's like a change is needed just to change. Like something's got to change because 20 scoreless innings going 6-6 against inferior teams is not acceptable. So I feel like Rob's going to make these changes and I'll get into it. But at the end of the day, you got to hit the ball. It doesn't matter where you're hitting, right? You have to have good approaches at the plate. You have to hit the ball hard. The Phillies have been struggling to hit the ball hard. If, Turner, Harper, Bomer were just hitting line drives, they were getting caught, hitting balls to the wall they were just missing, that'd be a different story. But the Phillies at bats have been so feeble. They've been, early swinging, weak ground balls back to the pitcher, slow choppers to where they got to fix that. But let's get into what I think the Phillies are going to do. I don't think the top three is going to change. I think it's going to be Trey, Kyle, Bryce. I do think Adolis Garcia is going to move into the 4 hole, and I think Brandon Marsh is going to move into the 5 hole. Brandon Marsh has had a pretty good start to the year. Bryce Destotte is not. It just makes sense with that change, similar with Garcia and Bohm. So after Marsh, you got Alec Bohm batting 6th, and I've always said it. Alec Bohm as your 6th or 7th hitter is very valuable to a major league team. Now, if he gives you the production he's been giving out of the 4 hole, he's not even a major league hitter. Do I think Alec Bohm is going to continue that trend? Absolutely not. Alec Bohm's never going to be a star. He's not going to be a superstar. He's not even going to be a star. But his career trajectory and what it has been is a solid big league hitter towards the bottom half of your lineup. So put him in the 6 hole, take some pressure off of him, and just kind of, let him do what he does. He had a slow start last year. He kind of rebounded, similar to Bryson Stott. And I'm going to put Bryson Stott in the 7 hole. Now, I think Justin Crawford is still going to bat 9th. I think Justin Crawford has shown that he's a better hitter than Bryce Stott to start the year. Will that trend continue? We don't know. But I really do like Justin Crawford at the bottom of the order. I really like what he does in the sense of paving the way for Turner, Schwarber, Harper. So I want to keep him in that 9 spot. Also, moving a rookie up in the lineup 1 week into the season or 2 weeks into the season, I think puts too much pressure on him. I think Justin Crawford for the entire year should bat 9th. Now, if the other people in the lineup continue to struggle, you might have to look at making some adjustments. There's been thoughts about him batting leadoff. That would have to be if the lineup is so bad to where Justin Crawford needs to be in there, and then you lengthen the lineup, you put Trey 2 or whatever configuration you want to do. But for right now, I want to keep Justin Crawford in that 9 spot. Bryson Stott's going to move into the 7 hole. It's been a tough stretch, and I mean, with Bryson Stott, what I see out of him is a lack of confidence because there's been a couple times where he shows bunt, he either goes for it or he misses it. And the best pitch, in my opinion, you're ever going to see is an 0-0 pitch because the pitcher's looking to get ahead of you, especially against a hitter like Bryson Stott. He's struggling to where the pitcher wants to attack. And Bryson Stott is a grinder in that sense, and he usually does take the first pitch to where I want Bryson Stott to change his mindset to go up there, be ready to hit. Because the thing about a slump is it only takes one hit to get out of it. And I really do think that swing adjustment from last year is still going to pay dividends in this year. And I think Bryson Stott is a much better player than he's shown the first, again, 12 games. So we are early into the season. Put him in the 7 hole, give him some time to relax and, kind of get back to what he was doing to end 2025. JT in the 8 spot. JT actually has the highest on base percentage out of the entire team, which is utterly insane. I don't want to move him too far up because you can make the argument, put JT 6th and put Bohm 8th. I don't want to slip Bohm all the way down to 8th. I think that's too much of a drastic change 12 games into the season. And JT's been hitting it well out of the 8 spot to where it's like, if JT's hitting well, Justin Crawford has a batting average over 300. That 8-9 combo to turn over the lineup, I think it's going to be very beneficial because I don't think Trey Turner is going to continue to struggle. I don't think Kyle Schwarber is going to continue to strike out at a crazy rate. His OPS is still there because the power is always going to be there. But Kyle Schwarber, his at-bats have not been up to standard to the Kyle Schwarber standard. And I think Bryce Harper looked really good on the West Coast trip. He got his OPS up to 749 to where if JT and Crawford continue to do what they do, and then the top three get hot, that five is going to be enough to win a lot of baseball games, especially with his pitching rotation. So that's the lineup changes I think Rob Thompson's going to do tonight against Arizona. We play at 6:40 in the City Connect, so I'm excited, but you got to win 2 out of 3. But before I end this episode, I do want to get into my ideal lineup. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I've said it numerous times, and I'm going to give you some examples of why I think this should happen, because when you hear it, you're going to be like, that's interesting. That doesn't really make any sense, but let's get into it. So leading off, I have Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper has talked about seeing pitches, not chasing out of the zone, just being a more disciplined hitter. And I think if you put him in that leadoff spot, it's going to be there for him, like in the sense of, you want to take your walks, you want to kind of get a feel for the pitcher. So I think that's going to help him in the sense of just working on that plate discipline, working on that approach. What it also does, in my opinion, is it gives Bryce Harper more at bats, to where you could say put Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff spot. And honestly, if they decided to put Kyle Schwarber back in the leadoff spot, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's not really a knock on Trey Turner, because in this lineup, I have Bryce, Kyle, and Trey. The reason I have Trey Turner batting third is because Trey Turner's best asset, in my opinion, is his speed. And I think that gets diminished when he's batting leadoff or he has Kyle or Bryce batting behind him. Because here's what's going to happen. Trey Turner's on first base, right? And Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber's up. You're not going to run with Trey Turner in that situation, because Harper or Schwarber can hit one out of the ballpark, and you don't want to run into an out when you have that kind of power and that kind of threat behind him. To where I think you're limiting him in the leadoff spot. But if you put Trey Turner third, and let's say the first two hitters get out, Bryce and Kyle, and there's nobody on, well, there's Trey Turner on, there's 2 outs. I think that gives him much more flexibility to run. And I think if Garcia or Bohm is batting fourth, in this lineup, I have Garcia batting fourth, just where the trends are. But ideally, if Alec Bohm is who he is, I think he's a perfect hitter to bat behind Trey Turner, because he puts the ball in play, and then you could cause havoc on the bases with Trey Turner running. That hole in second base opens up completely. Bomer hits a single, and now you got first and third, 2 outs or whatever the situation is. But I really think Trey Turner needs to hit behind Kyle, behind Bryce, to where you can really see that speed. Because Trey Turner, I think he's a very good player. He is frustrating when he's struggling. He's one of the most frustrating hitters. He just swings at the first pitch, swings a crap in the dirt. It's not pleasing. When Trey Turner's at his absolute best, which I believe was 2025, because he made that mental adjustment to kind of, hit the ball on the line, not kind of go for home runs, he had his best season. Combine that, if he goes back to that approach, and then he has the ability to run, to where in this day and age of baseball, when they made the adjustments to the base pass and, the pickoff moves, to where stealing has never been easier. And we have one of the fastest guys in Major League Baseball, to where Trey Turner should have 50 stolen bases. He can't do that when he's batting in front of Kyle and Bryce. I think that's a clear adjustment the Phillies have to see, the Phillies have to make. And the trend of, you want your best hitter batting first. You could say Bryce, you can say Kyle. The reason I have Bryce batting first instead of Kyle, me personally right now in their careers, I think Kyle Schwarber is the better hitter, but I want Bryce Harper to be given that level of protection that Kyle Schwarber has been given the last couple of years. So that's why I would do that. Like I said, right now I put Garcia in the 4 hole, just because I think he's batting better than Bohm. I really do like that threat of the power in the 4 spot. But if Trey's batting third, I think Alec is a more ideal fit with the line of construction. At the end of the day, doesn't really matter, but that's kind of the way I look at things. And then in the 5 hole, I'd keep Brandon Marsh there. Well, he hasn't been in the 5 hole yet, but I think he will be tonight. I just think Brandon Marsh is a much better hitter right now than Bryce Stott. That power threat, he's having really good at bats. Again, keep it against right-handed pitching. I know what's going on with Otto Kemp in left field, and that's a disaster. I even said send him down and bring Brian De La Cruz up. I really don't want the Phillies to go into the mindset of, Brandon Marsh is playing really well against right-handers. Let's see if he can hit left-handers. He can't hit left-handers, dude. The book is out. It's been 4 to 5 years of this nonsense. When Brandon Marsh is playing against right-handers only, that makes his success much better. Because then he has a great day against a right-hander, and then the Phillies let's get cute, let's play him against a lefty. And then he goes 0 for 3, and then his mindset's screwed, to where it's just keep Brandon Marsh hitting against right-handed pitching. Batting sixth, I'd put Alec Bohm. And again, with the Trey batting third thing, you could put Bohm in the 4 hole, Garcia in the 6 hole. I don't really care about that. They're interchangeable. Batting seventh, I still have Bryson Stott. JT batting eighth, Justin Crawford batting ninth, just in the sense of kind of what I already talked about, to where I want to keep Justin Crawford in the 9 hole. I really like the way JT and him turn it over to the lineup for the big dogs, but that's what I would do in my ideal world. I don't think Rob Thompson's ever going to do it. I don't think he's that creative, but I also think it's not all on him. I think he kind of lets the players do what they're comfortable with. Bryce is comfortable batting in the 3 hole. Trey loves batting 1. Kyle Schwarber will bet anywhere you tell him to. But at the end of the day, it's really not about the lineup construction. It's about these ball players, doing their jobs. You need Turner, you need Harper, you need Schwarber to be those guys. Because if they're not those guys, with how the other players in the lineup are heading down, it's going to be a long season. And we've talked about this numerous times with Dave Dombrowski. You had to get a legit bat in the offseason. They tried with Bo Bichette. We all know that entire saga, but Eugenio Suarez was out there ready for a 1-year deal. Would you have to pay a little bit more because he did want to go back to Cincinnati? Cincinnati, probably. But imagine just Eugenio Suarez in this line instead of Alec Bohm. But Dave Dombrowski, I've said my piece on him. I think the game of baseball is past him to where you're really going to have to rock with the guys you have now up until the trade deadline to where maybe you make a acquisition for a big bat. But the problem with that is, do the Phillies really have the assets to trade at the trade deadline like they've had in prior years? Like trading a Mick Abel, trading an Eduardo Tai. Like those guys aren't in your system anymore because Painter's already in the big leagues. Justin Crawford's in the big leagues. You're not trading those guys. The really only blue chip assets you have are Aiden Miller. And even though he has a back injury, it wouldn't make sense to trade him now after how close he is to the big leagues. You got to ruin Escobar, I guess. I don't know how much trade value he has. I think he's a decent player. Felix Reyes is killing it at AAA, but is that back going to translate to the big leagues? Does he have a position? Doesn't really have a position on the Phillies. He's playing a little bit of left field, but I don't think he's good enough to be an everyday big league left fielder. Maybe other teams see him as a first baseman DH. We'll have to see. Gage Wood, I'm not trading for anything because Gage Wood, man, he just struck out 8 batters. I believe it was last night. He has that bulldog mentality, and I believe he's going to be a fast riser. Now, I would put him in Double-A right away. He's obviously killing it at Clearwater, and I really think you need that guy to kind of bridge the gap to where when Wheeler eventually retires, if Nola continues, and Nola's looked pretty good, in my opinion. He gave up the homer to Devers against the Giants 3-0. He didn't get any run support. I believe they should have put Tanner Banks in that situation. Whatever. I think Nola's going to be fine. But you need a guy in the system that's willing to take a spot in the rotation. And this year, if Painter struggles, which I don't think he's going to do, and Gage Wood is ready, I would let him go and start in the big leagues later down the year. Now, my thing is Dave Dombrowski's already talked about it. They probably have him on a strict innings limit because last year Gage Wood didn't pitch a lot. He was injured to start the year, and then he came back. I think he pitched like 40, 50 innings to where they're not automatically going to put him into a situation where he's throwing 180 innings, 200 innings. That's not smart for his health. Could he possibly be a back-end reliever down the road? Maybe. I don't know if they want to put that kind of pressure on him. I would love it because I think Gage Wood is going to be a very effective starter in the big leagues. Can you only imagine what he would do in the bullpen, even if it's just for one Red October? So I wouldn't trade Gage Wood. So we'll just get into that. I mean, granted, guys, we're 12 games into the season. We're already talking about the trade deadline. But that's kind of what you have to do when you kind of see what's going on. But let's hope the Phillies get their head out of their asses. Let's hope that, the offense comes around. We got Jesus Luzardo going today. I think he's going to be very effective. Can the offense score 4 to 5 runs? Let's hope so. Saturday, we got Taijuan Walker. Honestly, just a prayer. Let's see what happens. Maybe we win, maybe we don't. Hopefully, Taijuan Walker can at least give us a quality start. And then Sunday, we got a really good pitching matchup, Andrew Painter versus Zach Allen. So this series, I always say this, you got to take 2 out of 3, especially at home. The Diamondbacks aren't terrible, but they're not a good team. The Phillies are better, so you got to win 2 out of 3. But that'll do it for this episode of Baseball for Maniacs. Let me know what you guys think about the lineup, the potential changes. What would you do? Do you agree, disagree with my crazy lineup? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, go Phils.